Welcome back to my channel. My name's Dylan, and today I'm on a mission to make my budget gaming monster look as powerful as it actually is. And that's why I'm converting it from this case into this case, which is the HYTE Y40. It is basically the little brother of the HYTE Y60. It looks very similar. It's a little bit smaller, but retains a lot of the same themes from the Y60. It has the vertical mounted graphics card, and it comes with the PCI riser cable already installed, which is a fantastic feature. You don't have to buy or install one of those separately. And it's a red, beautiful HYTE Y40. I'm so happy to finally own this case. If you don't know anything about my budget monster, you can watch my previous video where I built this system. It's basically a $2,500 Australian dollar budget system. With that budget, I had to make some sacrifices to prioritize the performance, and so I ended up with this deep cool case, which is a really nice case for what it cost, but I don't think it does the hardware justice. So I'm going to move everything out into the HYTE Y40 today, and finally it's going to look like the gaming beast that it is. By the way, I promise you, I did not purposely match this case with my fridge. So aside from the HYTE Y40, I'm also going to be upgrading the case fans. I have the SP140 Corsairs. I have two of those, and those are RGB fans which work through the Corsair IQ control center. As well as that, I have three ML120 Pros. Those are not RGB, but they are stealthy blacked out fans, so they don't have any impact on the color at all inside the black interior of the HYTE Y40. As well as that, I have the Thermaltake TT Mod PSU sleeves. So these are the cable extensions with the red and black sleeves to match the theme. This pack actually only comes with two PCIe cable extensions. So I've bought a third one direct from Thermaltake. They sent that out to me as a separate purchase, so I didn't have to buy an entire bundle on its own again. So I'm really excited to turn this budget machine into a dream machine. It's going to take a little bit of work to take everything out and put it into this new case. So let's get started. So there we have it. My budget machine is now the beast machine that it deserves to look like. And yeah, it's no secret, I designed this to look like my Audi. And yes, Audi owners are obligated to call their car their Audi, not their car. Some of you might be concerned that I seem a little deranged from the opening scene and demonic theme of this video, but don't worry, I assure you, I've been to therapy and it's completely treatable, so there's nothing to be concerned about. But jokes aside, I'm really happy with how this build turned out. It looks awesome, really awesome. The red and black theme really came together, especially with the Pulse RX 7900 XTX, which is also a red and black themed card. And the red and black theme sleeves that I got for the power cables on that card. Look really nice as well and really complete the build. So I do have some tips about building in the HYTE Y40, so I'm just going to go through those in case you're using this case as well. One thing you'll want to do is when you install the power supply, always make sure that the fan is facing the bottom of the case so that it has somewhere to draw in cool air from underneath. In my case, the power supply had to be installed upside down for that. The important thing is it doesn't matter if it's upside down, just make sure that the fan is facing the bottom of the case so that it has access to cool air. Speaking of air, I recommend to have a dual fan radiator at the top if you are doing a CPU radiator. Reason for that is if you get a triple fan, there is not much space for the rest of the components, the rear fan and the CPU power cable. So the dual fan AIO came in really useful in this case. So recommend going with a dual fan setup instead of a triple fan setup. And lastly, in terms of airflow in this case, there is only one space for a fan in the basement of this unit. And it's up the far front end of the case, which is in the same compartment as where your power supply goes. So just make sure, it's really important you do good cable management with your power supply in this particular case, because you want to keep the clearance from the fan to the top of this basement section completely clear, so the fan has no interference pulling air in and pushing it up through the vents in the top of this basement compartment here. Never have I so meticulously cable managed a build as I have with this case. Not just because I wanted to, but it's really essential with this case that you do good cable management, because you need to reserve as much space as possible within this case to improve the airflow from the positioning of the fans. So if you are building in this case, just be prepared to spend a lot of time doing cable management. You're going to want your zip ties, you're going to want your cable ties, and you're going to have to just plan out where each of the cables are going to run, particularly with the power supply cables, and do it bit by bit and take your time with it and get it right. If you're really particular about cable management, the rear fan, there is actually a tiny little hole in the far top corner of this case where you can actually thread the fan header plug through. And that's what I've done. It was only just wide enough to fit the header plug of the fan, and I don't think the hole was even there for that purpose. It just happens to fit through. And my last tip with this case is to clean the inside of the glass, the front panel and the side panel, before you put the side panel on and close it up. It's really annoying to close it up and then put your computer on display and plug everything in, and then notice there's some smudge marks on the glass and they happen to be inside the case. Now, I did have some challenges with this case as well, which you might encounter. The biggest one was probably the motherboard USB 3 header. With some motherboards, you're going to have a problem of the USB 3 cable colliding with the side fans at the front of the case, just because of the position of the output header on the motherboard. For me to solve that, I first purchased a right angle USB 3 header adapter. That allowed me to plug the cable into the right angle and have it exit directly out of the case instead of overlapping the fans at the front. But then the next problem I had is because it was running directly out of the case, I couldn't get the rear side panel on properly. So I had to get another right angle adapter. So I've now got two right angle adapters plugged into the USB 3 header on the motherboard so that I could get the internal case cable flush in the rear of the section, in the rear section of the case, so that I can close the rear panel. So I've also noticed that the red finish on this case is not perfect. Yeah, there are some micro scratches on the finish of this unit, which I noticed taking it out of the box. It'd be nice if HYTE could plastic seal all of the panels on this case, not just the glass panels, because this sort of red finish is susceptible to those kind of micro scratches, which from a distance aren't noticeable, but when you're looking up close, I can see them and I'm aware that they're there, and I don't really like that. That's kind of annoying for a brand new product. Also, a positive and a negative is the top and the side panels are incredibly easy to remove and put back on. And that's really great when you're working in a case and building a PC. There are no screws required, they're all clip-in, but HYTE still have not made the front glass panel easy to remove. And that's a problem which I had with the Y60 as well. So if you do want to remove the front glass panel to make the case even a bit more easier to work in, unfortunately you do have to unscrew that front panel to get it off. It'd be nice if in the future HYTE could make the front panel just as easy to remove as the side panels and the top panel as well. Another positive is the GPU space available is 4 slots in this case, probably a little bit more than 4 slots, which is more than the HYTE Y60. So you're going to be able to fit your 4080s, 4090s, most of them in there quite easily. Whereas the HYTE Y60 had a little bit less clearance. It was more like 3.5 slots. All in all, you can probably build this system for around $2,750 Australian now. And I'll update the PC part picker list for this build and leave it in the comments below or in the video description if you do want to check it out. By the way, some of that music was from my band Buried Hands. If you'd like to check us out and have a listen, I'll leave a link in the description below. If you have any suggestions what you'd like to see next on my channel, leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Subscribe to my channel or Satan will visit your dreams.